Before we dive into one of the realest conversations you'll hear today, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment of truth on this journey of self-mastery. This isn't your typical feel-good content. This is about facing yourself. It's about breaking the cycle of pain, guilt, and silence. Today we're talking about a kind of strength most people will never understand. The strength to forgive while you're still bleeding. So if you're tired of carrying the weight of what was, if you're ready to take your power back, stay with me. Let's talk about how real power begins the moment you stop punishing yourself for the past. Section 1. The misconception of power. Most people have a twisted image of what power truly is. They associate it with noise, shouting the loudest, commanding attention, demanding submission. They think it's about crushing your enemies, proving your dominance, always having the last word. That's the power people chase because it's easy to understand, easy to flaunt, and easy to mistake for strength. But real power isn't loud. It's not always visible. It doesn't need applause or fear. Real power is quiet, disciplined, and often misunderstood. True power reveals itself when everything is falling apart, when your spirit is fractured, when betrayal slices deep, when your body is worn and your soul is exhausted, and you still choose the higher road. That's not weakness. That's not surrender. That's the kind of strength forged in fire. It's easy to lash out when you're hurting. It's easy to want revenge when you've been wronged. But power is choosing forgiveness while the wound is still open. Power is choosing peace when your ego is screaming for war. There's a quote from Naruto that captures this perfectly. "I'm not gonna run away, I never go back on my word. That's my nindo, my ninja way." Naruto said that not when things were easy, but when the world had turned its back on him, when he was alone, ridiculed, misunderstood. And still, he chose to believe, to stand firm in hope, and to protect people who didn't always protect him. That's real strength. Not the kind that's built in the gym or behind a microphone, but the kind that's built when no one is watching and no one is clapping. We live in a world that praises dominance but overlooks resilience. We reward the ones who roar, but ignore the ones who endure in silence. We confuse vengeance with justice, assertiveness with arrogance. But real power isn't about overpowering others. It's about overpowering yourself. Conquering your impulses, overcoming your pain, and standing tall when you have every reason to fall. That's the kind of power most people can't understand, and that's exactly why it's so rare. Section 2. Forgiveness is strength, not surrender. Now imagine this. A man, bruised, humiliated, torn apart in front of a crowd, not on a stage, not in victory, but on a cross, in agony. And yet, in that moment, when most of us would have every reason to curse the world, he looked at his executioners and whispered forgiveness. He didn't wait until the wounds healed. He didn't wait until the pain subsided. He forgave while bleeding. That's not comfort. That's not convenience. That's courage. And that kind of grace, it's something most people never dare to understand. Because here's the truth. Most of us can't even forgive someone for not texting us back. We hold on to petty things like they define our identity, a forgotten birthday, a misinterpreted tone, a disagreement that spiraled out of control. And it doesn't stop there. The hardest person to forgive often isn't the one who hurt you. It's you. We carry our past like chains. We replay our mistakes like broken records. We judge ourselves more harshly than we ever judge others. And it's not justice. It's self-sabotage. There's a scene in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood where Edward Elric says, "A lesson without pain is meaningless." That's because you can't gain something without sacrificing something else. That applies to healing too. If you've messed up, if you've lied, cheated, quit, betrayed, failed, there's pain. That pain is real. But dragging that pain with you for years like a punishment doesn't make you noble. It makes you stuck. Self-forgiveness isn't pretending the past never happened. It's choosing to grow from it instead of living beneath it. Because you'll never reach the next level of who you could be if you're still at war with who you used to be. You can't become the strongest version of yourself while hating the previous chapters of your story. You have to face those parts, not with denial, but with acceptance. Not to forget the lessons, but to carry them forward as fuel, not as shackles. That's what true control looks like. Not control over others, but control over yourself. And in a world where outrage is celebrated and pride masquerades as power, Forgiveness remains the ultimate rebellion, not because it's soft, but because it's strong in the quietest way. Section 3. Forgiveness as a mental strategy. If you think this is about religion, you're missing the deeper truth. This isn't about sermons or sacred texts. This is about psychological strength. It's about mastering your inner world to the point where external chaos can't shake you. Forgiveness isn't about bowing your head. It's about lifting your mind. It's about rewiring your emotional responses, so the same pain that once controlled you now becomes your training ground. Real power is internal, unseen. It's when your thoughts obey discipline, when your peace is no longer held hostage by your past. Take Viktor Frankl, a man who endured unthinkable torment in Nazi concentration camps. He lost everything, his family, his freedom, even his identity. But when they stripped him of the world, he refused to surrender his mind. He emerged not with bitterness, but with insight. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves, he said. That's not just wisdom, that's a weapon. A mindset so resilient it turned the worst pain imaginable into purpose. That's what forgiveness does. It reclaims your power from the people and events that tried to break you. And you don't need a death camp or a cross to relate to this. You just need to be human. Because pain is universal. You'll be betrayed, misunderstood, judged unfairly. You'll lose things, lose people, lose versions of yourself. Life will leave marks, some visible, some buried deep. But the question isn't, why did it happen? The question is, what will I do with it? That's the difference between staying wounded and becoming wise, between carrying the weight and converting it into wings. Consider Nelson Mandela, locked in a prison cell for 27 years by a regime designed to crush his spirit. When he was finally freed, the world watched, waiting to see vengeance. Instead, he offered unity. He forgave not because they deserved it, but because he deserved peace. Bethany Hamilton lost her arm to a shark at 13. She didn't choose bitterness. She chose the board. She paddled back into the same ocean that tried to take her, and dominated it. These people don't carry grudges. They carry grit. They found strength in surrender, not to others, but to purpose. And that kind of forgiveness, it's not weakness. It's the ultimate mental strategy. It doesn't make you soft. It makes you unbreakable. Section 4. Forgiveness as the weapon of the wise. Forgiveness isn't about fairness. It's not about letting anyone off the hook. It's about unlocking yourself from the grip of a past that's been holding you hostage. Think of it as mental self-defense, a silent blade the wise carry. You don't wave it around. You don't need applause. You just use it to cut the rope tying your peace to someone else's cruelty. Because let's be honest, you're not forgiving them because they deserve it. Maybe they don't. Maybe they never will. You forgive because you deserve peace. You deserve to move forward without dragging every scar behind you like chains. Let's kill the myth. Forgiveness does not mean what they did was okay. It doesn't mean you condone it. It doesn't erase the damage. But it does mean you're done giving it free rent in your mind. Every time you replay what they did, you give them power. Every time you speak their name with venom, you let the wound reopen. But the moment you whisper or scream, "I release this," you take your power back. It's not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about deciding it won't hurt you forever. Zen Buddhism puts it simply, let go or be dragged. It's not poetic, it's survival. Imagine trying to swim with anchors around your ankles. That's what holding on feels like. You think you're standing strong, but you're just sinking slower. In Stoicism, Epictetus said, "We are not disturbed by what happens, but by our opinion of what happens." Think about that. The event is over. It passed. It's memory now. But the impact, that's still active in your perception. The pain isn't in the past. It's in your mind's grip on it. And that grip, it's your responsibility to release. And then there's Jesus. Again, not in a temple, not in a moment of reflection, but in the midst of agony, forgiving while they mocked him, forgiving while he bled. That's not divine distance. That's unmatched mental fortitude. That's not softness. That's a level of internal strength most people will never reach because they're too busy waiting for comfort before they let go. But if you want to live free, you can't wait for the pain to vanish. You have to rise with it. So let me ask you, what are you still clutching? Whose name burns your chest when I say, forgive? Is it your ex, a parent, a friend, or maybe it's you? That version of you that messed everything up. That younger self you judge more harshly than anyone ever has. Let me tell you something. That pain you're carrying, it's not making you stronger. It's making you numb. Section 5. Forgive while it still hurts. And here's the truth you don't hear enough. Numb people don't grow. They don't rise. They don't lead. They don't love. They survive, sure, but they do it behind walls built from shame, guilt, and regret. And you can't build a powerful life with bricks made of bitterness. So here's a challenge. Not a big one, not a therapy session, just a moment of truth. Right now, or before the night is over, write down one thing, just one, that you've been quietly hating yourself for. No paragraphs, no over-explaining, just a single line. I forgive myself for, and then say it, out loud, slowly, like you mean it. I'll be real with you. It's going to feel uncomfortable. Your mind will rebel. It'll scream, you don't deserve that yet. Say it anyway. You're not doing this because it's easy. You're doing it because the wound will never close if you keep tearing it open every time you remember who you used to be. This isn't self-help fluff. This isn't a feel-good moment. This is mental warfare. And forgiveness? That's your sharpest blade. That's how you win. Not with revenge, not with punishment, with release. That's where freedom lives. You want power, real power. It doesn't start with controlling others. It doesn't start with dominance or attention or applause. It starts when you take the venom out of your own bloodstream, when you stop letting old pain poison your present mind. Because here's the secret. They never had power over you. Not really. It was your pain that kept handing it to them, again and again. But the second you say, enough, the second you decide that you're done being ruled by your own past, you become unstoppable. Forgiveness isn't surrender. It's rebellion against the chains that kept you small. So forgive while it still hurts. Forgive while the wound is fresh. Forgive in the fire, because that's what warriors do. They don't wait until it's over. They rise in it. They move through the storm without letting it drown their spirit. That kind of strength, it's rare. Most won't get it. They'll say, you're soft, or you're weak. Let them talk. They don't know what it means to bleed and still choose peace. But you do now. Because the one who forgives while bleeding, the one who refuses to let pain shape their identity, that's not weakness. That's power almost no one understands. But maybe now, you do.